Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Astro-Weather Check for the Virgo New Moon on Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd. It is Friday, August 30th at around 11 a.m. here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, when I hit the record button. I'm going to keep this one a little short today. It's been kind of a rough Mercury station in my house. It's been one thing after another. As you see, probably for the first time ever, I've got this weird blurred background effect going on because my office is a mess. My chair broke. It's just been um, kind of a wallop this week. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I still wanted to deliver something. So yeah, the last two have been extra long because I had a lot to cover with the full moons that we've had and the introduction of my crowdfunding campaign with the Leo New Moon. So this one will be brief. I'm gonna probably start with a card. I feel like it's probably good at this point to review Virgo in general. I feel like Virgo oftentimes gets a little bit lost in the weeds and some of the magic gets taken away from it because it does get commonly associated with things like perfectionism and analytical things and being highly organized and all that stuff. But kind of like my take on Capricorn, I feel like there's a magical element to Virgo that gets a little bit underrated or lost to an extent commonly. So I just want to, I'm going to pull from the Starcodes Astro. We're going to review the Virgo card just to kind of put Virgo, back into perspective a little bit better, since that is where our new moon is occurring and that is the season that we're in. And I'm going to touch on something that I'm seeing very interesting that I don't feel like is getting enough coverage. That's going to actually happen on the 1st of September before we have the new moon. So we'll do that. We'll pull a card and we'll wrap up for today. I don't have too many announcements. Just before we get started, reminder, my crowdfunding campaign is still active. It will be active until my birthday on October 6th, so roughly another month or so. And that is for me, for financial support, for putting out all of the free content that I provide to everybody, like these astro weather checks, the horoscopes, blog posts, all that kind of stuff. I just need a little assistance right now. So if these astro weather checks help you in any way, if you find them useful on your own journey, if you like my perspective, please consider making a contribution to that. Any little bit helps me at this point. Or, booking a reading would also be a wonderful thing. I've gotten quite a few bookings since I launched the campaign, which I'm really, really happy and grateful for. So I will have a link for that. That'll probably be the only link I'll include in today's episode in the description. So that'll be available in my podcast feed as a bonus episode, as these astro weather checks are. Also on the Sea Goddess Healing Arts YouTube channel, and the video versions, just a reminder, they're available on Spotify and on our YouTube. And I just saw an email come through in the last couple of weeks that Apple Podcasts is now available online. So you don't have to have an iPhone or the app to get Apple Podcasts now. So I will be exploring that. I think that that's pretty cool. That makes everything more available to everybody rather than, people just on the iOS platform. So just a reminder there, if you listen, on a different phone or whatever, you can listen to the web version of Apple Podcasts now, which is pretty cool. And also just a reminder before we get into it that Spotify now also allows comments on podcast episodes. So I don't have to do Q&As or polls or anything like that anymore. You can actually just interact with me directly right in the podcast episode feed, which is pretty cool. So other ways to support, just, reminders there, stars, reviews, comments, likes, shares, subscribe to our YouTube. All that helps me tremendously and gets everything seen better, plugged into the algorithms. So let's get started. We are in Virgo season. We have been since last week on the 22nd. And this is the first time we've been in an Earth sign since Taurus season. So we've been kind of through some pretty wily energies lately, especially this later part of the year. It will get more wily. But like the last really, really good energy I feel like we were in was during Gemini season. So we had air and then Cancer water, and we just got out of Leo, so that's fire. And we're moving into, we're in Earth. So things might just feel a little bit more grounded. Things have been sort of just like up in the clouds for a little while. And then we had the potent full moons. So if you're feeling like you can catch your breath a little bit, especially coming off the Mercury retrograde that just ended a couple days ago, that's why. So just remember that Earth is very practical, very grounded energy, just like getting out. Like this is the harvest season now here in the Northern Hemisphere. So getting out in your garden, getting your herbs and everything ready for the fall and the winter season. Like this is that time of the year. We're changing seasons now here in the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, but in opposite ways. So it just might feel a little calmer, I guess you could say. Because sometimes with the earth, not the earth, with the air and the fire, especially, it's just like hard to kind of put your finger on the energy sometimes. So we're in earth, which is good. So I'm going to read the Virgo card. Hopefully everyone can see. Yeah, I'll hold it as close as I can. Yeah, that's not going to work for today. So I'll describe it, especially for anybody listening to the audio feed, just because I have this weird blur. Actually, maybe if I hold it there. Yeah, you can see it there. All right. Let's see if we can get that on camera. This is hilarious. Sorry, everyone. I'm having fun with this. This might be a new, no, it's not going to be a new thing. I'm kidding. Okay, so on this card, like I said, this is the Starcodes Astro Oracle deck. It's card number 6, and it has 2 hands holding a bundle of wheat. So I picked this deck because I don't think I've ever read from this one before for the Virgo card. When we did the Chiron and the sign episodes, I was using the Black Moon astrology deck. I actually like this description of Virgo better. So this is actually a really good symbol for what I'm trying to get at with this. Virgo's very much, I always say it's a lot about assimilation. So we have the Virgo Pisces axis, and that will definitely play into the new moon when we get to the chart. And with Pisces, it's transcendence. On the other side of Virgo, it's being in spirit to an extent, like beyond the physical. So with Virgo, on the other side of that, it's assimilation into the physical. Like, how do we actually be in these bodies? So the message on this card, the word for the Virgo card is digest. Virgo does rule over the digestive system, particularly like the large intestine. So like where we break down our food to the most simplest parts that give us the fuel that we need. Virgo is very much about health. And I say assimilation because we have to know how to, like, the grounded energy pulls us down into these bodies. What we put into our bodies comes from Mother Earth. So it's very much about pulling apart the wheat from the chaff and breaking things down to their simplest form. And I feel like that's where the magic is, because there's an alchemy involved in that. Like there's an alchemical process in digestion itself. So I feel like that's where the magic in Virgo lies, like the alchemy part of it. So yeah, coming at you from a Virgo moon person, I want to make sure we remember the magic and don't get so lost in the perfectionism and all the other stuff that I mentioned. So yeah, this is a beautiful card, and I'll read from it now. Symbolized by a woman / goddess holding a sheaf of wheat, the mutable earth sign Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Wheat can only feed the multitudes once the grain is sorted from the chaff. Virgo is connected to the nervous system and the intestinal tract, the job of which is to sort nutrients from waste. The sun shines here roughly August 21st through September 21st. That varies as of year to year. Just like I said, this year it started August 22nd. So the action on the Virgo card: look for the grain and release the chaff. Weed, harvest, sort. Something in this situation needs to be sorted, edited, or reorganized in order to bring in its harvest, whether you're asking about a relationship, a work project, or the culture in which you work. Virgo wants you to be specific, sort and release a habit, not a person, and change how you interact, but not necessarily with whom you interact. Examine the situation for the patterns that need to be released and composted, and what seeds need to be saved for another time or planted for the next season. Rather than focusing on faults, appreciate what is valuable about each interaction, opportunity, and person. Truly absorb the worth and wonder, and be healed thereby. It may be time to take an introspective break and work on your self-care routine. Look at your diet and health habits to see what needs improvement. Absorb vitality. Challenge. If you just weed the garden and don't plant or cultivate, all you'll have is an empty bed. Editing without creating gives you no content. Sometimes you have to ask the inner editor to take a break and let the creative process flow. Then let the editor clean and polish. Gift. This world is gloriously complex. Virgo encourages us to see how the details fit together, how the leaves and twigs make up a forest. Light and shadow co-create our image of the whole. Rather than judge the worth of the part, pay attention to the necessary role each piece plays. The chaff protects wheat so it can grow, and therefore has value, even if it's not edible. Perceive not just with your mind, but with mind, heart, and soul together. I love that. So we have our new moon incoming in Virgo. So remember all of that. And if you're feeling like maybe, I'm usually pretty clear on what intentions I want to set for each lunar cycle, each new moon. This time around, like right now, I'm not quite sure what I want to try and call in. And bonus points if you know where Virgo is in your chart, then you can pull the house themes in. So I'm in this space where I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm going to sit with it over the weekend and kind of see. I'm going to meditate on it a little bit. And I'm thinking that that's probably because Mercury just stationed, and Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. So we're coming off that retrograde energy, like Mercury's just starting quote unquote forward movement back in the sky. So I feel like that has a lot to do with it, especially since it started in Virgo and now is ended in Leo. So it crossed two different signs this time. So if you're feeling that, if you're having the same experience that I am, that's probably why. So just give it a little extra time. I'm recording this on today, but I think it won't come out till over the weekend. So, how I'm feeling about it right now in this moment might change based on the time that I'm going to give it and when this actually gets released. So if that's part of your experience as well, just remember, we're just coming off of the Mercury retrograde. This new moon is also the season opener for the second eclipse season of this year. So it's always the lunation before the first eclipse. So in this case, this time around, with the Virgo new moon, and then we'll have a lunar eclipse in Pisces with the full moon, and I'll cover that in the next Astro-Weather Check. So let's look at the chart for the first, and then we'll look at the chart for the new moon, and then we'll pull an oracle card from a new deck that I've been working with, and then we'll wrap up for today. So this is the chart for the first here in Atlantic City. I want to point this out because, and I've mentioned this many times throughout this year already, we have this final chapter now of Pluto and Capricorn being written starting on the 1st. So January 20th, it dipped back into Aquarius for the second time. And it's been in Aquarius most of this year. There is now this roughly 2.5-ish month period where it'll be sitting at 29 degrees of Capricorn for the last time in any of our lifetimes. So the last time we talked about this, remember I mentioned, think back to 2008, think how your life has changed in one specific area since then. And now the last chapter of that story is being written with Pluto dipping back into Capricorn one more time. In November, it'll shift back into Aquarius, and that's where it'll be for the next 20 years. So the thing I wanted to point that out first. So September kicks off with that, you know. So we already have a very powerful start to the month. But the one thing that I want to mention that I feel like isn't getting enough juice, I guess you could say, is the trine that it's going to make to Uranus. And Uranus is also stationing right now. So it's been sitting at 27 degrees of Taurus, which is the farthest it's gotten into Taurus since it shifted in back in May of 2018. So think back to that time as well. I've shared my story about that pretty much like on that day I was at the retreat for my astrology apprenticeship where I, gave my first astrology reading and the whole personal revolution that I've gone through since that time when Uranus first shifted in. As I've shared, it's my first house. I'm a Taurus rising. So it's definitely been an entirely different life now since that has transpired over the last several years at this point. You can listen to all that in the season 1 of Becoming Chiron. So we have Uranus stationing, and then Pluto dips back in on the 1st simultaneously, and they're sending supportive energy to each other, 29 degrees of Capricorn to 27 degrees of Taurus. So we're at the end of these signs. It's that close, like Pluto is at the anaretic degree. Uranus is very close, won't quite get there this time around, but it will eventually once it, goes back direct into next year. It'll get to 29 degrees of Taurus. By that point, Pluto will have moved on. So I want to make sure that I'm mentioning this because I feel like this is really important. And there's 2 other things I want to mention as well that I'll get to. But this in and of itself, I'm very curious to see how this plays out globally. Obviously, it's going to have a personal experience level to it, as everything does. Everything's a very personal experience as it impacts our own charts, but also, on the grand scheme, global scale of things, like we're all under the influence of the planets at all times anyway, like as Earth. So we have the planet of transformation, purification, power, life, death, rebirth cycles. Pluto dipping back into Capricorn, which think back to 2008 and everything that was happening then with the recession and all the stuff that Pluto shook up and has been shaking up since then with governments and all that kind of stuff. And now we have Uranus stationing in Taurus, material world, finances, that kind of thing. They're supporting each other. Like Uranus is revolution, rebellion, awakening, surprises. Like Uranus and Taurus, we've seen a lot of earthquakes during this time. So just think about how this is affecting you in your own life, if you know where Taurus and Capricorn are in your own chart. But just remember this is happening. These 2 will be connecting with each other for a long time at this point, for the rest of the year, probably. Uranus moves pretty slowly, 84-year cycles with Uranus and 248-year cycles with Pluto. So they're going to cover these degrees and sit around these same degrees for a while. So we have that, and it's trine, Earth supports Earth. So that's a harmonious flow of energy. So they're like shaking hands in the sky. There's some kind of communication here. So we'll see how it plays out. These are the outer planets. It's called the transpersonal realm. So beyond the visible. So we'll see. The other thing that's really interesting that I'm finding in all of this is Neptune's still sitting at 29 degrees of Pisces at the end of the zodiac. There's a sextile between these, between Pluto at 29 Capricorn to 29 degrees of Pisces with Neptune, and Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces to Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus. That's pretty tight. So all the outers are huddling up, and there's something going on here. I mean, I know we're seeing it anyway, just like think about what's going on right now. globally with everything that's happening, but in our own country with all the shakeup that's happened, this Mercury retrograde with the presidential stuff, like there's a lot going on. And then just think about too, like Pisces, Neptune, they relate to things like immunity, disease, viruses, unseen things that still affect us energetically. So just like, power, confusion, rebellion, like they're all connecting in this really harmonious flow of energy way. So just keep that in mind as we're moving through. It's, I don't know, there's just something here. We'll see. But it's definitely affecting everyone personally too. So just knowing where this is in your chart is, pay attention to that too. Neptune's been in Pisces since I think 2012, 2011, something like that. So like this is a really slow, the stories that these planets are writing on a global scale, but also in our own lives is pretty significant. They're only going to cover part, well, Uranus will return if you live to be 84 years old or older. But Pluto and Neptune only cover a portion of our charts our entire lifetimes. Neptune's like 168-year cycles, I think. So we all only get these planets influencing part, depending on where it was when you were born and where they're transiting. So I just want to make sure we mentioned that. And then we also, this plays into the new moon energy, which I'll shift to next. So the new moon is on the 2nd, so on Labor Day here in the United States at 9:55 p.m. So here's the chart for that. It's at 11 degrees of Virgo, opposite Saturn, roughly. It's about 5 degrees. Saturn's at 16 degrees Pisces. Saturn is still in this square to Jupiter. I talked about this last time. So we have another T-square with this new moon. So it's going to have a little bit more of a serious vibe to it because Saturn's involved. The sun only opposes Saturn once a year. So we'll have that happening as the sun shifts more into the sign of Virgo. Once it gets to 16 degrees, I have it here, actually, the exact date of that, on the 8th. So that's building. But at the time of the new moon, so sun in Virgo, moon in Virgo, new moon in Virgo, we have both of them opposing Saturn. So this can bring up things related to mom and dad, mom with the moon, dad with the sun. This can bring up, I think, things maybe with the divine feminine, divine masculine, and the collective. So just intentions may, be coming to you more slowly, like I said, because Mercury's just now moved 2 degrees since the 28th at this point of the new moon. Rules the new moon. We're opposing Saturn. So just be serious in your intentions. I think giving it a little extra time, whether you're feeling that or not, is a good idea because Saturn brings a, reality-based check on things. Get real with yourself. Like think about what came up for you during the retrograde. Think about what surfaced during the full moon, because now on the short term, we're entering a new lunar cycle. And that was a potent full moon. If you want to, provide any feedback based on what I shared or what I said about it in the Astro-Weather Check, I'd love to hear how your experience was. Like you all can always reach out, whether it's a comment on the video on any platform that allows that, like I said, Spotify, YouTube, but you can always reach out to me. Like I love hearing from everybody. I love hearing how these Astro-Weather Checks resonate or what like materialized in your life if you listen to it and like if anything was, transpired the way that I talked about it. So you can always reach out to me, like I said, comments, or you can email me, ursaalchemy@gmail.com. So I love hearing from people. I know how this played out in my own life. Like the day of the full moon, I was cleaning. I said that I really wanted to do like a big energy cleanse. And I did. I saged, I cleaned all of my crystals. I put them out to charge for the first time in a really long time. Like just the energy, like we even had a very cleansing weather. Like it was really hot on that day of the full moon. And then overnight it all cleared out and it felt like fall all last week or the week before. I forgot, I'm lost at this point. So it was just like a super, super activating and cleansing full moon, which I found really refreshing, honestly. So yeah, take some time with this. It's gonna feel more serious than usual. And as I always say, when we have a T-square pattern, the pressure release valve, the blow off points on the other side where there isn't anything. So that's still Sagittarius with this. So, just optimism, infuse some optimism into this, aim your sights high with whatever your intentions end up being. Just have fun with it if you can, even though it feels serious right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for the new moon. Um, there's going to be a lot coming up in September. So the next Astro Weather Check, I'm pretty sure we'll have the lunar eclipse, like I said. This is the season opener for the second eclipse season, like I said. September is a really dynamic month. I have for the monthly check-in and for the horoscopes, I kind of like lay out the month ahead of time with all the shifts that are happening and everything. And it's pretty rare. Like every 2 days, I have something written down for this month. So we'll cover all of this, probably more so in the next Astro Weather Check with everything going on in September. Dynamic month, dynamic time of the year, on the heels of more eclipses. So change is a brewing, especially with all these outer planet influences happening. They're huddled up. I think the analogy I gave for the last couple of full moons was the planets are all at like a boardroom table. Right now, the outer planets are in this invisible huddle. It feels like something's brewing. Something surprising, probably, with Uranus involved. Okay, so this deck that I've been using this week, I kind of unboxed it probably in the spring. It's a deck that I actually got for Sea Goddess events. And when we do stuff, we'll let people take cards home with them. But we'll use this deck only once so far, and we didn't give out cards. So I still had it. It's still a full deck. And I just feel like with the Pisces energy, with the outer planets, with the, magic and Virgo that we were remembering with this Astro Weather Check. I picked this, it's called Raise Your Vibration Oracle, and it's one of Kyle Gray's Oracle decks. So I've been using this all week. I used it during the live on Tuesday. I've been using it in my readings. And I figured it could be good for this Astro Weather Check as well. Just remember, with Pisces energy, it is all about staying in that higher vibration. Just like the guidance from what I read in the beginning, like remember the process, the parts of the process. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. That's digestion, essentially. So just remember to stay in the higher vibration. So let's see what the message is for everybody today. All right. Oh, this came out during the live on Tuesday too. Let your inner fire warm you, not burn you. I'm going to stop my share so we can look at, well, I don't know if we can, oh, actually, yeah, if I hold it in front of myself, there we go. That's how to work around the blur. There we go. I figured it out. Ugh, my office is a mess. Okay. Let your inner fire warm you, not burn you. This is cool because the ruler of the new moon is still in Leo in a fire sign. So I love this. And look at the sun on the card there. So let's see what it says from the book, and then we'll close out for today. So these are you have to like read. It's broken up into sections. So like, this is a really cool deck. I actually just got one for myself because Hay House was having their annual 50% off sale. Ground, flow, ignite, receive, express, see, know, light, integrate, ancient wisdom, manifest, and activate. So this is cool. But you have to find, the cards aren't numbered, so you have to find where it is in this table of contents. Okay, page 56 for this one. Okay, this is what it says in the book. Your inner fire is the passion you hold within. It's the part of you that wants to make a difference. It's the part of you that has get up and go. It's the part of you that wants to keep going when everything else is telling you to stop. This flame of inspiration in the core of your being is bright, inspired, and focused. It lights up when you tune into your passions. You tend that flame when you listen to your intuition and express your most authentic self. Like all fires, however, if you put too much fuel on it, your inner fire can become too hot and uncontrollable. It's important to keep it contained and centered. Today, the universe is acknowledging your gifts and passions, but encouraging you to slow down, take your time, and rest. Let yourself be filled up until you are overflowing rather than operating on half empty. You'll enjoy it more, and so will the world. Vibe of the day. I take the time to replenish my energy. This is a perfect card to illustrate the energy of a Mercury station in a fire sign. So I feel like this, as usual, when I pull a card at the end of the Astro-Weather Checks, it's my mic drop moment. So this is just such a beautiful summary of everything that I said. Take your time. This, Leo is all about our passions, our creativity, our individual contributions to the collective. So take your time with this new moon. Like everything that I'm feeling is pretty much said in the card that I pulled. Just remember, Mercury is the ruler of this new moon. Virgo is one of the signs that Mercury rules. Mercury won't re-enter Virgo until the 9th. And then the post-shadow period won't be over until the 12th. So we're still in that integration of the retrograde part. It's still in Leo, it's still on fire. So just remember that. It'll join the Virgo party later, but not quite yet. So integrate, rest. If you're here in the United States, if you have Monday off, enjoy the holiday weekend. In the horoscopes that I wrote for this week, they're focused on the new moon based on your rising sign, so you can kind of glean more information there if you know your chart. I'll put that link in the episode description along with the crowdfunding campaign. So, and I had a comment from somebody last time to add a PayPal link, so I've done that, and I'll do that in the episode descriptions up until my birthday. So thank you all for being here, and just enjoy it. Take some time for you. It's okay to just like take it a little more slowly right now, especially with everything. And yeah, just enjoy. Till next time, remember to be a maverick. Bye.